Hello YouTube friends, welcome to the Last Homely House. I'm Kate and today I want to tell you about a new little obsession that I've got into and also why I've got a blank design board behind me. Now Anna's here today and she's going to help me do the filming because there's lots of little bits and pieces that I want to talk to you about. So are you there, Anna?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't want to burst in.
No, it's fine, no, it's okay. So here's Anna.
Hello.
Anna's going to help me do the filming today. I just sometimes I find it quite hard to film this stuff, to do this stuff and film it. So I have the lovely Anna just here.
Gandalf.
Gandalf and Frodo, that's what we call ourselves. Okay then, so thank you. Bring a chair. Find a chair somewhere. Yes, Gandalf. Oh dear. Right, okay. Brilliant. Thanks for coming and helping me do this.
No worries. I watched the video this morning.
Okay, now I sent
Swatting
Anna
up.
the link to this video because I think she'd be excited about doing this too. You're turning into a quilter, aren't you?
Yeah, this morning I was like, I've been thinking about doing some natural dyeing to make a quilt, and Kate was like, oh dear.
I think next spring.
Yeah, well, you know what reminded me of it is you collected all those hazelnuts.
Yeah.
And I follow a natural dyer who dyes with hazelnuts, and it makes this beautiful, like, taupe.
Oh, right. Really? Not a
Yeah.
colour you would expect.
Yeah, and then I've got avocado stones that I've been collecting in my fridge that I'm going to dye my curtains with for my pink spare room. It's going to be all pink. Oh dear.
Who is this and what have you done with Anna?
It's just the proximity to all this pink, I think,
I
for
know,
the last
it
few
is
months.
actually. It's
just
true.
like got into my blood.
I have this terrible influence over people. I think then in that case, why don't we plan next year to think about doing some natural dyeing, grow some plants and
That would be
collect
good.
some bits and pieces together? And why don't we do a little series on natural dyeing?
Yeah,
Be
I'd
fun.
like that. I have the quilt. I can picture it in my head.
Okay, what have I done to it? Today, though, however,
this very much.
what I want to tell you about is a YouTube channel that I discovered really recently. And it's Terry Rowland, her name is, and she has a small channel and she makes really interesting videos. And I watched the three, I think there were three.
I just watched the first one.
Okay, there's a couple more.
It was good.
About this fantastic scrap busting idea. Now, we've all got scraps. We've all got hundreds of drawers full of scraps, and then we buy new fabric. We buy a nice new fat quarter bundle, but we have all got scraps. And this project that I got quite interested in is using all those bits and pieces. So I'm not going to do this as a tutorial because Terry does a fabulous tutorial. So I'm going to leave all the information in the description below so you can pop along and see what she's doing with this project. But I want to show you my take on it and what I'm doing. And so let's get started on that, shall we?
Can I look through the ones that you've made so far?
Yeah, I've made quite a few. And so you look at those while I get myself sorted.
Yeah, I like that one.
Well, it's going to take some time, Anna, if you're going to go one at a time. Okay, so, yeah. So pop along, watch Terry, then come back here. I think that's the best way to do it. Okay, now, I think this is a very good way of using up odd bits of charm squares, odd bits of jelly roll that you might have. It's a very good use for all of those. Don't cut into your new fabric for this. We've all got enough old little bits and pieces. And Terry made a colour wash quilt. I think you could make anything you wanted using this technique, but the colour wash does look particularly fantastic. And so I'm going to have a go at doing that, and I'll show you the slight variation on the way that I make the blocks. My blocks finish at 3 inches, and so I've marked off my ruler here to the 4-inch mark. I'll explain why I did that when I'm cutting one with you in a minute. Okay, let's do this. Honestly, YouTube friends, if you could see the lengths we have to go to film. We've just spent 10 minutes trying to set up this little corner so that you can actually see me, which means drawing the postage stamp block curtains so that we block the sun out because it was too bright. Anyway, it's a beautiful winter's day and let's get on with this process. Now, I've got this ruler here, which is a 6.5 inch ruler, but I've taped off 4 inches of it. And this means you don't have to buy a specialist ruler. Now, I've taped off 4 inches, even though I'm trimming the blocks to 3.5, because it means that I can see that little 1/2 inch there when I'm doing the trimming. I'll show you when I trim one. So what I've done here on this little board here is I've cut, these are jelly rolls in fact, but this isn't a jelly roll, this is scrap. So I've cut about 4 inches of fabric, and then another jelly roll strip, and cut that in half. And then the way that Terry does it is to match those up with the middle bits, but I've just got a basket here that's full of all those little scraps and bits and pieces, and I just pull one out and see if it looks about right, and then stitch it onto here. I've just got one under my needle here that I'm finishing. I've done a new refinement on my sewing machine. I've stuck some card 1/4 inch from the needle. It's been a big help, that has, it really has. I've got my sharp scissors here, and then I sew this scrap to this scrap. And I'm not minding too much if they're not terribly straight. So there's one finished one. That'll go on the ironing pile, and then I'll trim that down to the 3.5 inches. I'll show you in a minute. So then I'm chain piecing 2 at a time. So I'll do this one next, and I'll get into my basket and find something that would look nice in the middle of there. It's really easy, you're just finding, it doesn't matter, you choose very quickly a nice contrasting thing. It's a bit too big, so I'll trim that off. Okay, I think what I've really loved about doing this is just how spontaneous it is, how quick it is. Now that's too big, but that's okay because I can trim that down. I'll put the other side of the middle section on there. Cut that one off, chain piecing. Who doesn't love a bit of chain piecing? This one on here now. So those are my middle sections made. And it's all about finger pressing. I'm not really up and down to the ironing board with these. So that's that one there. I'll take one of my side pieces, and I'm putting that one on close to the edge, but when I go on to make that, finish that block, I can put it a little bit further in if I feel like it. So this one will go on here, and they're bigger than they need to be, but that's good. I think what I've really loved about making these is you get a board set up with a big pile of them, and you just go for it. Sewing and sewing and pressing and cutting. It's a very nice rhythmical production line, which I love. Now that's too big, way too big, and so this one, I'm going to put this one on here and sort of eyeball it, and that'll be a bit of waste there, but you know, there comes a time when you've just got to make your compost heap look really colourful. Okay, and then that one on there, and then I'll press these and show you about the trimming. Now I am trimming these down, so I'm reducing the bulk. It's just easy to do that while I'm sitting here, because that bit won't get trimmed with the ruler. So there's that one there. This one's ready. In fact, I'll detach that one so that we can see that how quickly we've made 2 of those. Getting all your little bits, strips prepped first, and a big basket of scraps beside you here means that you can just keep going and going, and eventually you'll end up with a great big pile like this, which we're going to now put the iron over. So we'll do that next. tea, Anna?
Yes, please.
There you go. There we are. Okay, trimming then. So they look a little bit funky at the moment, but with this tape on here, which gives me 4 inches, I can see the 3.5, and so it means that I'm not skimping on that edge there. All you quilters amongst you, you will know exactly what I'm doing. So I'm kind of centering up my feature there. I put a new blade in my rotary cutter. What a difference that makes. It's absolutely brilliant. So now I'm lining up my 3.5 and my 3.5, and I can see very clearly without there being anything hidden underneath the tape. Try it both ways and you'll see what I mean. Now this is offset, that's fine, that's how I want it. That now becomes a bit that can go into my basket for potential middles for new blocks, and that is a block. So you get a good audio book on the go, and you sort yourself out with some 3.5s. And then, that's a good one there. I think it's fine to throw that away. Maybe. I'll do a few more and then I'll show you what Terry does with her finished ones, how she organises them. There again, you see, that's a good bit that we can put in the basket, and that one's very close to the edge, but that's fine. It's fine to have them a bit offset like that. Okay. So there's a few. Here's quite a few more. and what Terry does with these now is sort them into kind of colour families. So by the outside, I'm not too worried what the inside looks like, but I'm going to put a big stack of greens, stack of pinks, some oranges. I'll put them neatly, like so. And then when you are ready to design your quilt, now I'm lucky, I have a vertical design board. I don't know how people manage without a vertical design board, I have to be honest, but people are very good at being inventive about how to do that on the floor or on you know, big table, whatever you've got. If you've got space for a vertical design board, I'm going to say prioritise it. I really am, because it's the single best thing I've got in my workroom. If you come across one that's not in these colours, make a new pile. Okay, kind of yellow. There's a green one there. So that, not so sure that's green. We'll have two values of green. Yeah, we'll have some different greens. Have a lot of fun doing this. Very dark one here, and then there's a grey there, a grey, and purple. Have we got a purple pile? We've got a pink pile, but we'll do a purple pile. I could be some time, but this is the fun part. And then next, we're going to start arranging them on the board. I haven't made too many, but I've made enough to get a start, and I'll put them in this little tray here. In fact, I'll pick up these ones, which might work together. Okay, and now we'll have a go at putting them on the board. One tip that Terry does give you is that when you look at these blocks, you've got the middle section, which gives you the seams at the bottom, and the side section, which has got no seams. And she suggests that instead of putting them seam to seam, you alternate them like that. And so that's a very good tip, and I'm going to do that. So it just means that you twist it round. And this is the most fun ever. This is what I'm loving about this quilt. I like the construction very much, but I really, really enjoy the jigsaw that I've created here with all these little pieces. I think the important thing about this, for me anyway, is not to think too hard about it. You can move them around once you've got them up for the on the first go, and keep playing with them. I like to do that trick where you photograph them in grayscale so that you can see where there's an obvious cluster of very dark or very light, and that can help you to redesign that little area there if you want to. And then when you've got a layout that you really like, then Terry's got a fantastic way of stitching these all together, a way that webbing, you may be familiar with that if you're quilters already. I have done that in the past, but only on small blocks. But Terry sews this together in a way that she webs the whole thing, which means that the construction of it is really, really simple. So once I've got a layout that I really, really like, I'm going to be, and that won't be today because I've got a lot more blocks to make. I think I want this to be quite a big quilt, and so I think it's going to be at least 600 blocks. So I've got a long way to go with collecting together all my blocks. It's the kind of project, I think, that you can just have on the go, put it in a box, and then when you've collected a few more scraps together, make a few more, and then maybe do the design and the layout towards the end. And then that fantastic webbing that constructs these blocks will be a really brilliant way of putting all of this together. So for now, I think I'm going to carry on trimming blocks, sewing blocks, making blocks, stacking them into colour themes, and then trying them out on the design board. But I think it'll be quite a while before we've got a finish here. And I'll come back to you and show you what that quilt top looks like. I hope you enjoy discovering that channel. It's really interesting, and I hope you have a go at scrap busting like this. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, then give us a thumbs up, because what that does, it shows at YouTube that people are enjoying this video and that other people might enjoy it too. And always that subscribe button, which is that little red thing in the bottom right hand corner. It's always very nice if you press that as well. So thanks so much for watching, and I'm going to just carry on taking this colour wash into all sorts of different directions and having a lovely time. Playing with fabric, what's not to like?